Extract 0.
It's made me very sad. As somebody of plural heritage, I am naturally keen to see borders permeable and be able to move freely, culturally and physically. And so I was very much a Remain.
Extract 1.
I think we're all probably going to say something very similar. I was shocked and surprised by the referendum vote, as indeed were Michael Gove and Boris Johnson. They didn't expect to win, and they don't know what to do now. I would like to think that the vote was not a simple one of xenophobia, and was just a kind of generalized protest vote by people who were feeling they had a rough deal from the Tory government. But I would say the answer is get rid of the Tory government.
Extract 2.
And I think, it's two things. One is the fact that we're so shocked that they could do something that seems frightening and irresponsible. But actually, his parents are really angry at being represented as stupid. They've been talked about in the press as being morons because they felt that they weren't happy with it. They had an idea of this European superstate and they didn't like it. So, yeah, it's really difficult. It is quite a personal thing, and I think there's been so much scaremongering as well. I have a lot of friends who work for the big bookseller in the UK called Waterstones, and they were all told before the Brexit vote that if the UK voted for Brexit, there would be lots and lots of jobs lost. They didn't give a reason why. It didn't actually make any sense.
Extract 3.
I come from Northern Ireland, where I do have the right to both British and Irish identities. Neither of them totally represent what I am. And in Northern Ireland, saying you're one or the other is terribly divisive. So I was quite glad to come and live. I came to study in England in the 1970s, and I've lived in England ever since. And what I really liked until now was how tolerant British and English people were. Their own identity was so confident. They didn't really need to push it into other people's faces, and I rather liked that. And I have seen that threatened by a very narrow identity that seems to be coming out of Brexit.
Extract 4.
Yes, well, I grew up in Scotland and lived there until I think I was 23 when I moved to London to go to college. And when that referendum happened, I didn't get a vote because I lived in England. And I really didn't want Scotland to separate from England. I'm kind of against borders intellectually, and also just selfishly, I didn't like that idea of being cut off from home and, as Marianne was saying, orphaned. And I was so relieved when I woke up in the morning and turned on the radio and the country had stayed together, and I hadn't had to choose between being, I hadn't had to choose to be an English person or to stop my Scottishness. My children were born in England, my wife is English, and I liked the fact that we were all part of something.
Extract 5.
To me, it seems that there's a growing climate of separatism, of walls, talk of borders, walls, division, a rising tension, which feels tangible every time I watch the news. And it's like drop those arcade machines where you put in a coin and the whole ledge moves forward, and it seems like the ledge is moving forward, and what is going to be the thing that topples us as human beings into a situation that is uncontrollable. Instead of uniting, it feels to me like we are living in an increasingly fractured society and fractured world, and that feels frightening.